This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hey everybody, it is the After Party Live, and I would like to thank you for being here. Big show on the Mark Thompson Show today, a lot of back-to-back guests, so I know that was a lot, but really good guests. Ari Berman about the voting systems in America. Thought that was really interesting. And Professor Mark Jacobson, great to have a guest along with Belinda Weymouth for It's the Planet Stupid. And the Nikki Maduro Show, a good one today as well. So thank you for being here. Kind of the cool down show. A lot to talk about today. Thank you for clicking the like button. I'll thank you in advance. There used to be a lady in the human resources department at KGO, Cumulus, and she would end every message with the weirdest thing. She would like launch a directive. You need to do, and it would be like to the whole staff, you need to do this or whatever. And then at the end, she would say, thank you for your expected cooperation. So I'll take a page from her. Thank you for your expected cooperation and clicking the like button. I really appreciate it. God, that used to bother me so much. I just thought it was so rude. Enough about me. Oh, except for one more me thing. Us thing I actually would like to say. And that is the number of subscribers on the After Party Live is now at, I believe, 2,060. So that's pretty cool. Let's see the latest tally here. 2,062. So this is awesome. We're slowly inching our way toward 2,500, and thank you to everyone who has tried to share the show and help in that department, and to new subscribers as well. All right, let's dig into it, because the first thing I wanted to show you was this, and I don't know if in earthquake country if this is safe, but have you seen this? This is in San Francisco. From SF Gate, this is what they want to put above Powell. I know. It's interesting, isn't it? This is kind of a giant chandelier that, and I don't know if you can see from the picture, there's poles on either side of it where it's strung by these thick wires up over Powell Street right by the cable car turnaround. And it's kind of pretty in that, you know, at night you'll see the bright lights or the colored lights. The themes that you can, that's for the Warriors. They have the pride flag colors, the rainbow colors. It's cool, but I look at it and I think, uh-oh, what would happen if there was an earthquake and that giant mass of glass lights came down on this very busy street? So I don't know. It's interesting. This is what one of the improvements they want to make at the Powell Street corridor in downtown San Francisco. What do you think of it? Am I just being, oh, Kim, don't worry about it. It's not coming down in an earthquake. They'll figure it out. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But that's how it would look after the upgrades they're planning. The design proposal was unveiled this week. Right near the cable car turnaround there on Powell, this is what they'd like to do. And the project is expected to be completed in the next couple of years. So the design for this 3-block stretch of Powell has been publicly released by the Union Square Alliance for the city of San Francisco. They want to use aesthetic improvements and financial assistance for new tenants to revitalize this area. And this is Union Square. And so you've seen a lot of businesses leave and check out here. The area is struggling to recover from decreased tourism after the pandemic as well. It's a $6 million project that dedicated to creating a promenade along Powell Street, $2 million to help fill these vacant storefronts in the area. So I don't know. They are on time and on budget, they say, with what they're doing here. But it's a complete vision to create a full recovery of Powell Street. That would cost them between 20 and 30 million, they think. And Mayor Breed is proposing a general obligation bond for the November ballot that would fund that long-term project in full. So I don't know. I mean, you don't want to see Union Square just kind of take a dive and not come back. And so I get that they have to spend some money to do it. I don't know about how I feel about this giant chandelier, though. All right, I'm going to the chat. See what you guys have to say about this giant chandelier. Colors of the Wind. Perhaps where is that? There it is. Judy says perhaps the light project is funded in a different way. It looks like city funds is what I'm thinking. Yeah. A lot of people wonder where they're getting the money. The long-term money voters would have to approve. But this $6 million, it looks like, that's coming from the city and possibly the Union Square area. I don't know. Oh, did I pause? I think they should have a zip line from the top of Powell Street and take the cable car back up. Well, that would be fun. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think it's beautiful, but I just have some reservations about putting that glass thing over the city of San Francisco. Let's move to this story. It is a story about fish and why they swim in those schools that turn on a dime. They're all going this way, then they're all going this way, this type of thing. And why they do it is the subject of new research. And it turns out there's a reason that fish swim this way, and it has to do with their success in turbulent waters. The groups of fish versus the solitary traveling fish expend 79% less energy. 79% less energy. Yeah. There's a lot of fish that do this too. Zebrafish, rainbow fish, moonfish. The scientists think traveling in schools has a lot of evolutionary benefits, but it also could be more beneficial to their general movement as well, because they have an easier time swimming through more turbulent waters than fish that are solo mio. The study published June 6th in the open access journal PLOS Biology. It's called locomotion, the way animals move from one place to another. Are you singing the locomotion song? Yeah. A lot of species have different adaptations when moving around so that they can be more efficient. The scientists involved in this study from Harvard University say generating movement through the environment is one of the defining features of animals. But the environment can be challenging with obstacles, and animals often face difficult conditions that increase the cost of movement. So, different fields of study have proposed different hypotheses for why the collective movements of animals are beneficial. Maybe they thought it had to do with mating success, or maybe if they're all together, they look like a big group, predators are less likely to strike. Maybe it's easier for them to communicate when they're trying to find food for survival reasons. But this study looked at navigating challenging waters. It's the turbulent sheltering hypothesis, and it suggests that traveling in schools allows fish to shield each other from more disruptive water currents. The study is the first to both propose that idea and then test it as well. So, is it true? Well, they tested. They ran trials with these giant fish, these carp, that swim in schools and are about 1 to 2 inches long. The team observed the fish swimming alone or in groups of 8 in both turbulent and more steadily flowing water. And they used these high-speed cameras to capture the movements of these fish as they swam. And then they measured their respiration rate and their energy expenditure. And they found the schooling fish spent up to 79% less energy when swimming in turbulent water compared to the fish that were swimming solo. The schooling fish were clustered more closely together in turbulent water compared to the more steady streams as well. And the solitary fish had to beat their tails more vigorously to keep the same speed in these turbulent currents. It's similar, they say, to competitive bicyclists who are drafting off of one another during triathlons to try to reduce their drag. But a significant difference between humans working in a triathlon or cyclists moving behind each other and benefiting from reduced flow is that fish accelerate the flow behind them, which is kind of cool. And so for these reasons, they think it supports this turbulence sheltering hypothesis, thinking that the efficiency of the way the fish move is the driving factor for why they operate in schools. I thought that was kind of a cool story. Check out this guy. He's a skateboarding kitty cat. I know. From science to weird, this skateboarding cat breaks a speed record in China, showing off his skills in getting a Guinness World Record by skateboarding 32 feet 9 inches in just 12.8 seconds. His name is Baozi. He's an American short hair cat. Broke the record for the fastest 10 meters on a skateboard by a cat at the age of just 1 year and 8 months. Now, were you aware that cats skateboarded? That this was a thing? Because I had no idea. I do enjoy the cape on the cat. I don't know. The owner of Baozi is a professional dog trainer. Said the original intention when he brought this cat home was to help with a rodent problem in the house. He said we had mice running around the ceiling at night, so I got Baozi to scare them away. But soon he realized this is a special cat. Baozi might have talents way beyond being a mouser. He said, I've been training dogs for over a decade, and I started skateboarding with my own dog for fun. But Baozi showed a keen interest in skateboard, so I decided to nurture this behavior. Said it took about a year to train Baozi to master the art of skateboarding. He said it was very challenging because they don't learn things as quickly as dogs do. Dogs make improvements day by day, and they remember it. Cats learn a trick, and then they forget it the next second. But he taught Baozi, and Baozi picked it up. The experience training this cat led this man to expand his business into training cats. What he likes to do is train them to use the toilet and then flush it when they finish. Well, that would make owning a cat so much nicer, wouldn't it? I think he might have something there. So congratulations to Baozi, the skateboarding cat, who now has a Guinness World Record for skating more than 32 feet in a little more than 12 seconds. Oh, things are weird. Speaking of weird, what about this bird report? I think it's a little funky, but I think we should talk about it. This is a reporter who is doing a story about birds being stolen, and all of a sudden an exotic bird swoops down and lands right on his head. Yeah, let me show you the video. So here you have this reporter, and he's going to do this report regarding birds, and wouldn't you know, here's what happens.
The Frankfurt Parks Department says they just... Oh, what the...
That was a surprise.
The Parks Department says they just... Oh, what the...
I mean, at least he didn't say the F word.
The Frankfurt Parks Department says they just... Oh, what the...
Yeah. I think it's just going to be a rotation of this over and over again in slow motion. It would be surprising, I can imagine. Yeah. There it is. I guess the bird wanted to be in the shot, you know? Sometimes the bird just has to show up. That's just the way it is. So that's what happened to this reporter. Funny that he was talking about birds and standing near a bird enclosure when he kind of got nailed. Oh, here's a story that I was hoping we could talk about. And we've kind of touched on this before, but I was hoping we could talk about it again because now there are more items to add to our list of what the hell is this? Remember when we talked about the dodecahedrons? These, they look like this. These interesting items, Roman items uncovered in these ruins. And there have been several of them found, and archaeologists just can't figure out what the heck they were used for. They have all kinds of ideas, but it's baffled them. And for years, they haven't been able to figure out. Well, now there's a list of 5 mysterious ancient artifacts still puzzling archaeologists. They are baffled by these discoveries. There's just these items. They can't quite figure out what they are. Now, the first one are these stone balls. I know. They're elaborately carved, if you see the designs on them. They're found predominantly in Scotland, and they date from the Neolithic period between BC 3200 and 2500. And there's been 425 balls like this found. They're about the size of a cricket ball. They're made from a different variety of stones. The surfaces are sculpted. Sometimes you can see here they have these raised circular areas, and sometimes they have these deep incisions defining, looking kind of like knobs and lobes in high relief. They have spirals for decoration, concentric shapes, a lot like the designs found on pottery of old. What are they? Some have been found in burials, others in settlements. They're never identical. Most of them are found alone. And so they don't think they were part of some kind of set, like some type of sporting set. And they do appear to have been heavily handled during their lifetime. So they were used for something. The debate over what the hell these balls were used for is ongoing. The earliest discovery was made in the 19th century. And they can't find the right archaeological context for these. Were they missiles? Maybe? Did they help get rid of pests? Weapons of war? Were they toys? Were they measuring weights? Maybe household ornaments? Maybe ball bearings to help move megaliths? Did they help hold your yarn? Nobody knows what they were for. I don't know. Do you have any ideas? Because, I mean, I would think some type of sport thing. But I don't know. And again, they found more than 400 of these things. And they have no idea. What? Bocce balls? Yeah. Early golf balls, perhaps? They do look something like out of Star Wars. I don't know. So weird. Viewfinder says molecular models trying to transmute tin into gold. Good as guess as any. Anchors or weights, maybe? Butt wipes? I don't know. Projectiles for war. You think they look like a weapon? Yeah. I don't know. All right. Here's the next thing they can't figure out. We've talked about these before. This remains on the list. The Roman dodecahedra. These are, and they made headlines recently for the same reason. They don't know what these are for. They date from the Roman period in Britain, 43 to 410 AD. They found about 130 of these things across the northwest provinces in the former Roman Empire. Most of them made from this copper alloy. There's no representations of them in art. They don't conform to a standard size. And they rarely show use or wear. That might hint at their purpose. Maybe they were for some ceremony that didn't happen very often. Who knows? I don't know. Next one, Neolithic chalk drums. They don't know what these are either. They found them in 1889, 3 carved cylinders of chalk discovered in a child's grave near North Yorkshire. They have a geometric decoration, what appear to be eyes, noses, and eyebrows. A 4th undecorated drum was found in West Sussex in 1993. Another highly ornate example excavated in Burton Agnes in East Yorkshire. Again, same area. That one was buried with drum was buried with a chalk ball, a bone pin, and the remains of 3 children. So the motifs on these drums are part of this aesthetic tradition found on the same things found on the Neolithic stone balls we were talking about a moment ago. They don't think the chalk drums were ever played as musical instruments. They don't show any wear associated with being beaten on by anything. I don't know. Researchers say their circumference is kind of a standardized measure of a length called the long foot. Sometimes there were references in the stone in perishable containers like a lidded wooden jar or basket. Others have tried to link the geometric markings to astronomical observations. The presence, though, in the graves of children seemed to suggest something else. Like, I don't know, maybe a toy, that you would bury a child with a toy? I don't know. They have no idea what it is. Here's another one, number 4 on the list of what the hell is it? Geometric open rings. They're called lock rings from the Bronze Age, which was a time of gold working. Highly decorative personal ornaments crafted from gold sheet and wire. These small open rings date from the late Bronze Age, BC 1000 to 800. They're found in Ireland, Britain, and parts of France. Because right away I would have looked at this and thought, oh, they remind me of those rings that you've seen in National Geographic where some native tribes in Africa wear them around their necks. No, they're found in Europe. Frequently unearthed in matching pairs, they can be plain or have delicate geometric engravings. So then I was thinking, well, if they're found in matching pairs, maybe people wore them as bracelets or anklets? I don't know. Some suggest they could have been nose rings, earrings, hair ornaments. But none of those explanations really is satisfying, because various elements of the design would make the rings difficult or uncomfortable to wear. So, what is it? What do you think that is? What would they use that for? I mean, they're open. I don't know. Yeah. I have no idea. I have no idea what that is. I mean, I look at it and think, oh, bracelet. But maybe not. Maybe it has some other use, some decorative use. What do you think? Go into the chat. Let's take a look. Torture device? His and her nose rings? Baking project gone awry? Maybe that was for the other one. Oh, those would be nice bracelets. Yeah, that's my thought. Bracelets, earrings. I don't know. They've been found all over Rome. Yeah, I don't know what those are. They're interesting, but they baffle scientists. All right, last one on the list. Check this out. This is the 5th thing. They have no idea what the heck it is. It's called a Romano-British cosmetic grinder. They're little copper alloy kits made in 2 parts. One half is the mortar, which kind of is a long, curving, grooved receptacle, and the other is the pestle, like a rod-like pointed thing arched into this rocker shape. They have loops for suspension, and often they're carved with either human or animal-shaped terminals. You can see that here. See the little person hanging off the top edge in a decorative way? They're very artsy looking. They have water birds as well, some of them. Other animals. I don't know. The things that are carved on this cosmetic grinder are often seen on other containers like cups and buckets. In some cases, phallic symbolism in some sets. Maybe it had something to do with fertility. They don't know. Now, these sets are often British. They're rarely found on mainland Europe. They date from the late Iron Age into the early Roman period, BC 100 to 200 AD, and they were well distributed across the landscape. When they looked at the way they were used, the wear on them, and they found they were rubbed together with kind of a grinding action that may have come before a mortar and pestle. So maybe this is the precursor to the mortar and pestle. I don't know. But they worked in a different way, using a metal scoop or a stone tool to mix ingredients together in kind of a circular motion. So here, the mystery isn't so much the function, but what substance went into this? What were they doing? What were they grinding, mixing up? Some suggestions were medicine, some were aphrodisiacs, cosmetics, narcotics, but they haven't been able to really analyze what was inside. And so they're asking anyone that finds any one of these things, because I guess they're rather plentiful if you're digging stuff up, to resist the urge to clean them and instead bring them forward to be examined so they can figure out exactly what it is, what it was that they're dealing with here, what these things were used for. So those are the mysteries. The stone balls, the dodecahedron, the chalk balls, the open rings, and the grinder. It does look kind of like a torture device, no joke. But you find these things and you have ideas of what they might be, but I guess we'll just never really know, Well, how about this? These things have been banned. Too spicy. I understand you, Denmark. I get what you're saying. These Korean noodles have been recalled in Denmark for being too spicy. Buldak ramen noodle products from South Korean company Samyang recalled because of the spice factor. The Danish Veterinary and Food Administration says it's recalling these 3 times spicy hot chicken, 2 times spicy hot chicken, and hot chicken stew ramen noodle products because of high levels of capsaicin. That's the chili pepper extract that gives them all the kick, the spice. They assess the levels of total capsaicin in a single pack of all 3 noodle products to be so high that they pose a risk that the consumer develops acute poisoning. The Samyang company released a statement to the BBC saying, you know what, we stand behind our products. Maybe you guys are they didn't say this, maybe you guys are just a bunch of wimps. No, they said, we stand behind our products. We're good. We understand that the Danish Food Authority recalled the products not because of a problem in their quality, but because they were too spicy. The products are being exported globally, but this is the first time they have been recalled for the above reason. They say they'll look into the local regulations regarding food sold in Denmark before deciding on their next course of action. The 3 times spicy, which is the hottest of the Buldak ramen noodles, has a spiciness rating of 13,000 Scoville heat units. A jalapeno pepper has a rating of 4,000 to 8,000. So when you're looking at spice, yeah, these things were pretty spicy. I mean, I would say for me, burn your mouth off spicy. But I don't know. Not in Denmark. They're not having it. It's a story about health and exercise. And when we exercise, could we reap the most benefits from it? And a study was done saying exercising in the evening could be the best way to help control your blood sugar. So if that was your focus and you're trying to get a handle on your blood sugar, this new study says exercise performed between 6 p.m. and midnight appeared to be better at controlling blood sugar levels all day long. And I didn't know this was a journal, but the results are published in the journal Obesity this week. It was particularly true for people that had a type of impaired blood sugar regulation associated with diabetes. The results show doctors should consider the optimal timing of the day to enhance the effectiveness and exercise and the physical activity programs that they prescribe. The study done at the University of Granada in Spain. They looked at 186 overweight and obese adults, and they tracked their activity and blood glucose levels for a couple of weeks when they wore these devices. And they were categorized, these people, based on when they accumulated more than 50% of each day's moderate to vigorous physical activity. Morning for 6 a.m. to noon, afternoon for noon to 6 p.m., or evening 6 p.m. to midnight. Some were categorized as mixed if they didn't really have a defined window. Others were marked inactive if they didn't really get any moderate to vigorous exercise. But in this study, those who worked out in the evening were more likely to have lower daytime, nighttime, and overall blood sugar levels, particularly if they had impaired glucose regulation. And the pattern was the same for both men and women. So apparently there's something to it. If you're going to exercise, might as well go ahead and exercise in the evening. You know, why not? Kind of cooler in the evening anyway. Maybe more conducive to getting a more vigorous workout if it's, especially in the summer, if it's hotter, you might not want to go as long. So maybe there's something to it. Lotto of the day. Are we ready? Yeah. There's always some weird reason why people are motivated in some way on a particular day to stop and buy a lottery ticket or a scratcher ticket. In this case, a North Carolina man said a friend's social media post is what motivated him. He saw his friend post on social media that the friend had won $100 on a scratch off. So he said, I decided to try it. And he went to the Circle A food store in Mount Holly along with his cousin, and he bought this ticket. This is in North Carolina. His name is Melvin. So he buys the ticket, and he and his cousin go back to the car, and they scratch the ticket off in the parking lot. And it was worth $400,000. So hey, kick a little to your friend who was the motivation for why you went to buy the ticket. He said it's not every day you win $400,000. His prize money will go toward paying off his mortgage and sharing with his wife and with his daughters. So that's pretty cool. Love it. I saw this story about a new species of flying, I don't know if you call it a dinosaur or what you would call it. Kind of a flying dinosaur, perhaps? Here's a picture of it. Yeah. This is a new species of Cretaceous-era flying reptile, and they've discovered it in Australia. It's kind of cool. You look at that picture and it kind of makes you feel like you're way back in time. Researchers in Australia say they found a set of 100 million-year-old fossilized bones in Western Queensland, and they think they're from this newly identified species of pterosaur, which was they call a fearsome flying reptile from the mid-Cretaceous period when dinosaurs still ruled the earth. They unearthed these fossilized remains in 2021, and they label this new genus and species of pterosaur. And now we're hearing about it. They say from the shape of its skull, the arrangement of its teeth, and the shape of its shoulder bone, they could tell it was a species they hadn't seen before. If you're interested in more information, check out the report in the journal Scientific Reports Springer Nature. This is a genus of pterosaurs known to have inhabited large areas of the world in what is now Brazil, Britain, Morocco, China, Spain, and the United States. It had a wingspan of 15 feet. They say it would have been a fearsome predator about 100 million years ago, when much of Queensland was underwater, covered by a vast inland sea and positioned about where Victoria's southern coastline is today. Kind of cool. They say that the skeleton of this is 22% complete, making it more than twice as complete as the only other known partial pterosaur skeleton found in Australia. They've got the complete lower jaws, the tip of the upper jaw, 43 teeth, vertebra, ribs, bones from both wings, and part of a leg, and thin, delicate throat bones as well, indicating that it had a muscular tongue, which helped during feeding on fish and cephalopods. Interesting. They're putting it on display in this museum, which is in Australia. They say this discovery has strong benefits for science, for education, for regional tourism as well. And so here we have this new species, something for the dinosaur aficionados to add to their list. I'll tell you, they had a dinosaur trivia contest at the Sonoma County Fair one year, and my sister won. I'm still proud of her for it. Some interesting science news. During the next spacewalk, astronauts are going to be collecting some very interesting microorganisms on the exterior of the orbiting lab. What lives out there? They're going to find out. They'll venture into space on Thursday to scrape off microorganisms from the outside of the International Space Station and study the origins of life. They're going to live stream this spacewalk, going to fix some stuff out there as well. It's US Spacewalk 90 that NASA plans to stream, so you can watch it. Starts at 8 a.m. on Thursday, Eastern Time, lasts about 6.5 hours. They're going to put it on NASA TV, the NASA app, and YouTube, as well as the NASA website. They said, we're putting space on demand at your fingertips with NASA's new streaming platform. Kind of cool. I mean, we're paying for it. We might as well see what they're doing up there, right? Transforming our digital presence, they say, will help better tell stories of how NASA explores the unknown in air and space, inspires through discovery, and innovates for the benefit of humanity, according to NASA. So what they're going to do is send astronauts Tracy Dyson and Matt Dominic outside of the International Space Station Quest airlock to collect samples of microorganisms along the outside of the orbiting laboratory, and they're also going to be removing a faulty electronics box out there. Dyson will be wearing a spacesuit with red stripes. Dominic will wear an unmarked suit. It'll be Dyson's 4th spacewalk and Dominic's 1st. And Dominic says, we are really excited to go outside the space station in a few weeks. That's what he said last month. They're preparing now by setting up tools, working on spacesuits, studying procedures and contingency plans if anything goes wrong. So that's pretty cool. He said, we've been inside the space station for the last couple months, running research or fixing the inside of the space station, but now we need to go outside. We're going to get it done. It'll be interesting to see what those microorganisms can tell us on the outside of the International Space Station. Yeah. This is a story. I mean, I think it's important for us to know what's going on, but it's just another thing where it's like, really, old age, man. Come on. Is it enough to have kidney disease? Do we have to lose our teeth as well? It's a story about kidney disease linked to tooth loss in older women. It was published, get this, in the journal Menopause. So right away you're thinking, thanks a lot. Older women with chronic kidney disease might wind up losing so many teeth that they aren't able to chew and talk effectively. This from a new study saying women with kidney disease are about 40% more likely to have fewer than 20 teeth. At 20 teeth is what dentists call the adequate number needed to chew and speak. So that's kind of a big deal, right? The study done at the Cheonam National University School of Dentistry in South Korea. This sort of tooth loss is also associated with an increased risk of stroke and other systemic illnesses like diabetes, thyroid disease, osteoporosis, etc. The findings of this study suggest that preventing and managing mineral and bone metabolism disorders in postmenopausal women with chronic kidney disease are crucial to preventing tooth loss. So if you're having kidney issues, don't skip the next dentist appointment. You gotta go. The study authors say the kidneys play a critical role in health by filtering waste products and toxins from the blood. Kidney function tends to decrease after menopause. I didn't know that. It's associated, with the declining levels of female hormones in women who've gone through menopause. So they looked at about 65,000 South Korean women between the ages of 40 and 79. And they found the ability of the kidneys to effectively filter blood is associated with the number of teeth that a woman has in her mouth. We have 32 permanent teeth. women with poorly functioning kidneys were at increased risk of having fewer than 20. Particularly true for women between the ages of 66 and 79. The researchers say chronic kidney disease can significantly affect bone health and mineral metabolism, and both of those things can contribute to tooth loss. Inflammation, decreased salivation caused by kidney disease could also promote tooth loss. They're not sure why, but they think they're hypothesizing that that's one of the possible causes. They know inflammation plays a role in gum disease and bone health. So the study they've done here highlights the known link between chronic kidney disease and bone metabolism. The Menopause Society doctor, Stephanie Faubion, did you know there was a Menopause Society? She said increased attention to oral and bone health is warranted in postmenopausal women with chronic kidney disease, in addition to meticulous efforts aimed at preserving kidney function. Oral health is a window to overall health, and good oral hygiene is important for women of all ages. So, I don't think any of us are walking around not brushing our teeth, but knowing that, maybe paying a little more attention to it, I can get behind that. Especially if we know that there's some type of relationship between kidney disease and oral health. Yeah. I was just reading on Facebook last night about, especially in the North Bay, and I don't know if this is a Bay Area thing or if this is everywhere, but it's kind of the season for spiders to come out. And there was a woman in Petaluma who said she was sitting outside, looked down, and there was a black widow on her leg, which is really odd because usually they try to avoid people. She kind of freaked out and swatted it away. And then, interestingly, later on, I saw this story, a study about scientists using gene technology to develop a possible antidote to the black widow spider bite. Yeah. They've identified this antibody that effectively neutralizes black widow venom in lab tests of cell cultures. The study is published in the journal Frontiers in Immunology. And this antibody, or ones like it, they think could replace the horse-derived antivenom currently used to treat people that are deathly ill from the bite of the black widow. The study done at Technical University of Braunschweig in Germany, they say many people that do suffer a bite from a black widow spider don't receive the current antivenom because it's made from proteins derived from horses and can trigger serious allergic and immune system reactions. So they were looking to replace this venom because of that. And they looked at recombinant human antibodies to get a better product for patients to avoid the use of horses for serum production. They focused on the European black widow, which is most often found in the Mediterranean. And they use gene technology to generate dozens of human antibodies that can neutralize the toxin. It's called alpha-latroxin. That's the venom that the black widow generates. It attacks, this venom, the nervous system and causes symptoms like severe pain, muscle spasms, difficulty breathing, headache, nausea, drooling, fever, and chills. And in severe cases, people might need to be hospitalized to treat high blood pressure, heart problems, or breathing issues because of this venom. One antibody in particular was incredibly effective in neutralizing black widow venom. 2 antibodies identified in the study appear effective against the venom of more than one variety of black widow. There are 3 main species of black widow spider found in the United States: the northern, the southern, and the western black widow. So in order to develop a potential treatment for all the latroxin type venom, and not just the toxin of the European black widow, they would need improved cross-reactive antibodies. And that basically means they need to tweak it in the lab a little bit before it could be tested in humans. So it's interesting. They say it's important, especially now, because there's this invasion of spiders into new habitats, which could increase over the next few years. So if you're bitten by a black widow, what should you do? Wash it with soap and water. Apply ice to reduce the pain and swelling and delay the effects of the venom. elevate the wound site if possible, and then call poison control and seek medical care. But we could see a black widow anti-venom that could be pretty effective. So that's kind of cool. Speaking of insects, there's this area that scientists found in Europe. It's kind of like an insect superhighway. Yeah, an insect superhighway. And it's 30 meters wide, which is about 98 feet 5 inches wide. And it's this passage where apparently the insects like to travel through. A lot of insects. It's one of the great wonders of nature, according to these scientists. They recorded 17 million flies, wasps, butterflies, and dragonflies pouring through this single 95-foot wide pass on the border of France and Spain. And they do it, these bugs, these insects, every autumn. It's the insect superhighway, headed in a high mountain pass in the Pyrenees. They use video cameras and butterfly nets. The researchers from the University of Exeter recorded 17 million insects pouring through this area between two peaks on the border of France and Spain. They say they do it every autumn. But researchers say to see so many insects moving purposefully in the same direction at the same time is one of the great wonders of nature. So interesting. The bugs make their way they're making their way from the northern summer ranges, including the UK, into locations in southern Europe and North Africa where the winters are milder. And they call this area, this pass of the Bujueruelo, a major insect highway. They've known about it for a long time. More than 70 years ago, there were some ornithologists from the UK that first recorded swarms of marmalade hoverflies pouring through this pass. And the yellow and black striped flies are really common throughout Europe. So they knew then that it was a thing, and since then it's warranted further study. And what they found, they call truly remarkable. Not only were there vast numbers of marmalade hoverflies still migrating through the pass, but far more besides. They had cabbage white butterflies, which they hadn't realized were long-distance travelers, hummingbird hawk moths, various species of wasp, lots of flies. He said there were some days, the researcher, when the number of flies was well over 3,000 per meter per minute. The insect air traffic may be visible, but it's a big part of ecology. 90% of the insects the researchers recorded are pollinators. On their migration, they expand the gene pool of plants over vast distances. So some of them are pests, like the cabbage white, but others are natural pest control. It's interesting. But they all know this is the best place to get through. And so it becomes the insect superhighway. I'll finish it up by talking about Starbucks. You go to Starbucks very often? I have a teenager who just can't not go to Starbucks. Well, like many fast food places, Starbucks is now coming up with a super value menu. Yeah, well, not super value, a value menu. Take the super off. They're trying to win back people because for a while, a lot of people stopped going to Starbucks, I guess, because it was too expensive. So like other retailers, they're trying to lower their prices a little bit or at least offer some type of value. So they have this new Starbucks pairing menu, and it's full of this type of value items. You can see here, like if you buy a croissant and this particular coffee, they'll give it to you for $5. And usually it's $5 for just the drink alone, right? So we know the most affordable option is to make our Coachella Valley coffee at home, but you know, if you want to treat yourself to Starbucks and you're looking at this new pairings menu, it could be a cost-effective option. They have all kinds of combinations, though I don't know. But it's interesting that Starbucks is getting into the value menu as well. All right, that is the show. Thank you for being here. Please click the like button. Thank you for participating and for chit-chatting. Let's see what you guys have to say. If I were bitten by a black widow, I'd cuss up a storm. I think I would just be crying. I don't know if I would be cussing. I would be crying. Yeah. Calvin wants to know how the insects know. Don't they have a low lifespan compared to birds? I would think so. They didn't say how they know, just that this is what they do and that this is the way it is. Walter hasn't been to Starbucks in years. All right. Yeah. Calvin says, mutant spider. It'll create a Spider-Man. Yeah, well, that'll be fun, right? Never heard of the Menopause Society? Me neither. It also leaves me a little, yeah, head scratcher. B.A. Ware says, my wife's hygienist told her that mouthwash changes the gut biome and she shouldn't use it anymore. Really? That was a new one on me, but I guess it makes sense. I would think that mouthwash, I mean, you rinse and then you spit. You're not swallowing it. But that's interesting because I use mouthwash. So, yeah, I have to look that up. Maybe I'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow. All right, well, that's the show. Please click the like button. And if you see the short videos, 60 seconds or less, that I'll post a little bit later, and you feel like sharing them around, great, because that's how we get new subscribers. Thank you so much to all who have contributed to the After Party Live to help keep this show going and running. I so appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me in the afternoons as well. I'll see you tomorrow morning on the Nikki Maduro Show at 10. It's David Katz Day on the Mark Thompson Show, and then we'll be right back here for Trivia Thursday. That's right. All right, everybody, have a good one. Bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.